Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Silverrudder. We're just lining up for the large start. Standing next to me is from X-Yachts. Thanks very much for coming, Thomas.
Thanks for having me.
Thomas, we're just going to comment the start the start's in just a few minutes' time, and afterwards I'll spend more time introducing you and who you are. Very briefly, you are what for X-Yachts and the new XR41?
Actually, that's a bit longer story. Maybe we should take it afterwards. But my background is as a naval architect, and I've been managing the startup of the project. And actually, since May, I've resumed being self-employed with my company Milek Engineering and Naval Architecture.
Okay, well, let's do that in just a second. I'd love to hear a lot more about that in just a second, Thomas. And first of all, before I forget, thanks very much for coming all the way to Svendborg. Let's look at the start there. That's Amaretto. That's it's a one-off boat, and I raced against him 2 years ago and thought, oh, I should be able to handle him. But a lot of these one-off boats are ultra-light compared to what they look like, and you can tell us a lot more about the design of boats like that in just a second. But looking down the line, you've got 50-year-old boats, North ships, and you've got totally high-tech brand new boats. Look at the boat behind there, the IMX40. Is an IMX40 a contender to race like this with very modern bows?
It has some years on its back now, but from its time it was really competitive under ORC or IMS as it was named at that time, and still is actually.
Look at that boat in the middle there. It looks tiny, but it is in fact 40 feet. That's an Ulva, and it looks minute, but due to its length, it's in this race here, racing against huge, great big boats. So amazing the development that we've had in boats, from the modern day to dating back to the mid-70s when the first boats in here will come from.
Absolutely.
We've got about a minute and 15 seconds to the start here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the boats you can see to windward here.
Yeah, there are the IMX40 is still there, and we have the X37, which was also very fast at its time and still is. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the right there, you've got the Dwinger 2.0, which is a Sunfast 3600, which is definitely a contender. The red boat just coming to the screen there on the right there is an Archambault. Just turn around, it's the Archambault A40. He's definitely a contender, has the waterline and is a very confident racer. The boat that just jived on the left-hand side of the screen there is an Open 40, French-built boat, Open 40, what we call a Class 40.
Yeah.
Very, very fast once he gets a little bit of slack off in his sheets, but he's probably not the best upwind boat.
But ideal for this kind of race, I think, with a lot of reaching.
20 seconds to the start. The picture you can see here is from the drone. Now, it looks like a very conservative start, doesn't it? You can see between our yellow windward mark and the leeward mark. That's going to be quite exciting compared to look, the view that we have from here looks a lot more hectic, but when you see it from the drone, it looks actually a little bit more settled. That was the start of the large class. Unfortunately, there's an X37 which is just chopped onto the ground right on the starting line.
That's a pity.
Unfortunately, that's a real pity.
Clear line otherwise.
And a clear line, and it's a very heavy, it's a big boat to have to get to clear off the line. It really is. That's going to be tough going. And I can see that a couple of boats that have gone on ground have found it very, very difficult to free themselves. And the boats are so big that it's very, very difficult to be able to clear single hand. Now, the boat just behind there, which is Jens Listrup, with a Guild Seldin on the side of his boat. That's a big, serious boat. He sails a lot of hundreds of miles, perhaps thousands of miles every year. Has done the Round Denmark race and has done the Gotland 500. Very experienced sailor. And looking up the fleet there, there's the Archambault the Arcona 365 with Michael Hoffman. He used to sail under Lightworks. Can I get you? There you go. Look at this drone picture across the fleet now. In this start, which is the large start, which is the second smallest of the keelboats, we have 93 starting boats. That's pretty good going, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah, it's a really impressive sight.
Now, if we compare that to some of the starts at other races, we are exceeding them by like 3. I raced the ORC's Worlds last year, and you had a third of the amount of boats in the various classes.
So did I. So I know the comparison. Yeah.
And these boats are boats that would normally have how many people on board?
Well, the IMX40, for instance, would usually have a crew of 9, maybe 10 for overseas racing.
Yeah. And here you've got these 40-foot boats, 39-foot boats racing with one person on board.
Exactly, and not necessarily all the trimming lines close to that one person.
No, not on a boat of this size. The cockpits can be quite big. Look at some of these outstanding pictures that we have from our rib out in the water. It looks like Klaus Rønne in the Frostbox is out in the lead. Let's not underestimate this young man. Klaus Rønne has won the Silverrudder in a CB66 in the mini class.
I remember that.
He's tough as nails. That was definitely not a boat they should have won. But even in 25 knots of wind, he held that CB66 planing for hours. They said the boats were chasing him.
What an achievement!
Yeah, he's a tough guy. So this is our rib that we've got filming right at the front of the fleet. Looks like there's an Ulva right in the middle there. You see, looks like a tiny little hull.
Yeah.
Screeching. He's a local guy, a boat designer, like you are, called Thomas Walling, and he's in fact.
I know him. I didn't know he was sailing that boat.
Yeah, he built that boat himself. His original Ulva burnt to the ground. Lithium batteries that burned his boat completely. Yeah. So he bought the plug and rebuilt a new boat and has totally fitted it. Yeah. So it's good fun to see. He just sailed the Danish Championships and got a second place. Did very well there. So looking at this boat here, you've got the Arcona 380, I believe it is there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
The Arcona is that if a family were thinking about buying a fast performance boat, is that a good boat? Is that a boat they should consider?
It sure is. It's a nice Scandinavian style boat. Really well built, I believe, and also good performing also.
Brilliant. Look at this fantastic picture from the drone. They've got Klaus Rønne at the front there in the frost box. The interesting story is the boat is not his, is it? The boat belongs to Jakob Frost.
Yeah.
So Jakob, if you're busy at work, he built the boat himself. Jakob, if you're busy at work, looks like you made a good decision lending this boat to Klaus, who sailed with you and crewed with you and has helmed for you for years. I assure you the boat is in good hands. We visited Klaus yesterday, and he has a huge, great big bag full of cookies and sweets for the voyage. He still hasn't grown out of his...
good decision.
Yeah, good for me. So let's look at some of the other boats on the fleet there. I mean, you've got the XX-37 right ahead of us, and unfortunately still stuck aground.
Yeah, that's
difficult to get free. And there's a huge variation of the boats. I mean, you've got boats like Lofer 37s in this race, Lofer 4004s, really fast boats in their time.
Slender designs, really good for downwind and for reaching.
Look at this light boat here, this light blue boat here.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who that is?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
That's one of my favorite races on the course. His name's Martin Mastenberg in his Kuluta, which is a Koopmans 39. It's an aluminium boat. Martin's a great guy. He is the owner of Reinskip. I know that. Yeah. And he's an outstanding guy. He's a real Silverrudder aficionado and has been with us as an active sponsor. And never mind the sponsorship. I mean, he's just the kind of person that brings such joy and pleasure and comradeship to a race like this. Him and his wife are just an amazing contribution to this race. So thanks to both of them for coming back year after year. Looks like this X-37 in front of us is coming off the ground now. Vita, this boat in front of us on the line here, is the Archambault A40. It's a really, really fast boat in the right hands.
Applauding the X-37 now.
Yeah, they just came free of the ground. And they did that all on its own by just bringing the boat to leeward, just heeling it over a little bit. Unfortunately, Lars Peter hasn't managed to get his Sunfast 3300 free of the ground just yet. I'm going to try and get out of the wind a bit here. It's very windy here. Yeah. And looking at the drone pictures across here, you've got 91 boats.
What a sight.
91 boats in the picture. What a view there. And look at some of the boats that haven't quite crossed the starting line yet. You've got a Nayad there, a 363, which has got a race against the Archambault A40. Looks like he's managed to. Looks like the 3300 is clearing the ground as well now, which will be lovely. He deserves it. Ola Peter has sailed all the way from Norway to race this race. I wish him the very, very, very best of luck managing to get off the ground there. So
he's definitely fought for it.
He certainly has. Look at this behind Ola Peter there on the left-hand side. That's perfect filming, Mads. Behind there, can you see what boat that is?
That's the XC-47.
That's the new XC47 with Torben Cornum on board.
Exactly.
And we're excited to see how that boat performs. Is that the sort of boat you'd expect somebody to turn up at a race like this in?
You wouldn't think so, but actually it makes sense. It's a hybrid boat. It's electric driven. It has a huge battery capacity. So actually for a long distance race with a lot of power usage for instruments and stuff like that, it's ideal, I believe.
This huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. You can just go down with the camera, Mass. Come down. This huge round of applause is by the spectators sitting on the banks here. I'm guessing there's probably about 300 people here. They just applauded all Peter. He's been stuck there for more than an hour. He was in. Now this boat is in the small start, medium start, I guess. Yeah, 33.
Yeah, the medium. Yeah, he's definitely fought for it.
Yeah.
What a fight he put in.
Looks like he's forgotten to look at. There's a boat on a starboard tack right behind him, but he's letting him pass. I can see, which is great. Yeah. So I'm sorry interrupting. You said you were talking about the XC47. Let's talk about that. Whether that's the kind of boat you expect to see in a race like this.
Yeah, as I said, you wouldn't really think so, and it's a fairly heavy boat, but it still performs really well, and it's with all the cruising features aboard, it's really well set up for a long distance race. Huge battery capacity due to it's a hybrid boat, so it's actually electrically driven. Yeah. So it has the battery capacity of a small Tesla, actually. So
oh, really?
More than enough power to get him around the island with all instruments and.
I mean, you say it's a heavy boat, but you know, it weighs like about 15 tons. It isn't. Yeah. It isn't crazy heavy.
No, not at all.
And I was on board the boat yesterday, and I mean, it's absolute pure luxury. It's gorgeous. It's like being in a very big apartment. The volume of that boat, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen much bigger boats that have a much more enclosed feeling. So, the extractable, espresso machine.
Yes, there are some really nice features.
There certainly are. So looking at the boat pictures, can we move the camera over to Johan, please? So we're going to go to the water and talk to Johan, who's following the fleet as they go out of the Sound. How are we doing there, Johan? What's that boat just behind you?
That's the X40, and they're all faring really well. It's going quite well for them. There's still a bit of gust here. It's a little bit more wind than we saw in the medium start. So some of the guys are still fighting a little bit. We just saw one boat heeling quite badly before due to a gust. But generally speaking, I would say that these guys are also doing the champagne sailing, just with a little bit more gust than
but these boats don't broach, do they? I mean, these big heavy boats don't broach up like the minis and the small.
No, I think it was. Yeah, it was one of the lighter boats we saw moving a little bit more. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but no, these big heavy boats, I guess the X40, you guys know better than me, but I'm guessing that it's close to 10 tons or something, maybe more. So it takes a little bit more, doesn't it, than we saw with the early
Absolutely. No, it's a very stable and comfortable boat. Absolutely. Yeah. So who's at are you anywhere near the front of the pack? Amaretto, is he quite close to the front?
No, we're a little bit far down. Who are you asking about?
Yeah, sort of who's around. I can see Amaretto there. He's a fast boat, one-off, one design. Dwinger there, the 3600.
Yeah. We still have Klaus Mann in the lead, but definitely if you look that way, then we see Klaus Mann in the front position. But we also see Thomas Manning, I guess, not too far behind. The distance is really close.
The boat behind you there? The boat behind you is Jens. The boat behind you is Jens Dwinger in his Sunfast 3600. He's been and sailed this race. Sailed this race a score of times. Not score, that's 10 times probably. Yeah, you can easily go up through all the fleet if you want, throughout the fleet. Go ahead a bit. So these are the large boats you have. Just talk about what the boats are doing around you. Talk about the concentration of the sailors. And there's a lot more space between the boats, even though there are 91 boats racing.
There's a little bit more space between them, but as you said, they're still very focused sailors, and we still see a little bit of close racing. I mean, we see the X40 and the X40 right now, being quite close there behind the Sunfast. it still takes a lot of skill to sail these boats through the sound. I mean, even though it's not as big of a fleet as the medium fleet, it's still something that they really need to focus. This boat that's passing us right now, the one off, you know, he's a real pro, isn't he, Philip? You know this guy quite well.
Indeed, and that's Knabbe, the boat called, and that's a really fast boat. That's a one-off boat, a carbon mast and carbon boom, and that boat is extremely light. Don't be fooled. It looks like a souped-up 1990s design, but if you see that boat in the water, it bobs around all the place. Do you know this boat?
No,
It's called Knabbe.
I'm not familiar with it. No.
But I remember. I thought I could beat him as well, but no way.
So we're at a very we're through the narrow part, and now they're starting again to go a little bit closer to the wind up towards the end of Tour and out of the Sound. So we see that they're all actually able to stay on port tack like previously. That's very nice for them. So it's not too much tacking they have to do. Staying where we are right now, we have the X65 Sport. We have Black Maggie, also a boat that is very known to this race, isn't it? It's been here a number of times.
How is Wolfram doing in Black Maggie? How close is he to the head of the fleet?
I think he's actually, I would say, 1/3 down or so. He's not. I guess it was not the most aggressive start in the world for him.
I'm quite sure we'll see him very close to the. I think we'll see him quite close to the front of the fleet. And Wolfram Heibeck in this boat. I mean, he told me that he had new dagger boards, and he's got new sails. I guarantee you that this boat's going to be way up the front. Thanks very much.
Yeah, that is a very fast boat.
Indeed, it is.
Mast can't be that old either. Broke the mast back, didn't he? So it's a fairly new mast as well.
No, it's a very new boat. That boat won the medium class, and he sawed it out in half, extended it by 2 meters, and then won the large class and took the record. Don't underestimate that wooden boat. It may look like a
so if we film
go on.
Yeah, if we film down the fleet right now, we actually see that the wind is dying a little bit now here. So we see a lot of the boats are trying to bear off. I guess the wind shifted a little bit as well. I don't know if you can see the blue boat that is to windward down here. I'm just going to get Petra to try to film it. So we see a lot of the boats went very close to Tour to try to stay to windward. But now the wind is completely gone actually for a second here. And that's the tricky part of this these waters here, that 1 minute you're sailing and the next minute you're completely stuck. So it really takes tremendous concentration for these sailors.
Yeah, the boat that we could see, that was Michael Hoff in his Arcona 385. But you're very right. What happens just there is that there's a funnel effect between the forest on the right-hand side, on the Tosing side, and the sort of the hill on the windward side, on the Tour side, and the wind always plays tricks there. And some of the boats that are impatient will start trying to tack instead of just waiting for the wind to get back to its original course or direction.
I'm sure you'll also be happy to know that we have the Sunfast Popcorn, which got off, which was run aground, is out here by us now. So he's on his way, and it seems like he's actually sailing quite fast through the fleet at the moment. All the way down there to leeward he's coming.
Johan, he must be exhausted. He's been battling at it for an hour. You know, he threw his anchor overboard at least 10 times to try and pull the boat off. He was rolling the boat from side to side. I mean, he deserves a prize just for getting free of the ground, continuing the race.
But we've seen that a couple of times, haven't we? That people actually almost run aground and have a huge struggle in the beginning. We also have Nicholas here, also a local guy, the sailmaker.
Yeah, we should talk about Henrik Boy. Henrik Boy is a local sailmaker here, Boy P Sails. He's one of our latest sponsors. Thank you very much for jumping on board with us there, Henrik. Henrik is known on the Silverrudder starting list. I think this is probably, I'm guessing, his 8th start. So it's great to see him out there. He's no youngster either, and he's renowned within the Danish sailing community in the last 40 years or so. Good to see. That boat you're filming now. Talk about that.
IMX 38 here. Yeah, we have the IMX 38 here. I think he also ran aground just before the start, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. He's on his phone right now. He's probably calling his mates, talking about what a rubbish start he had at the Silverrudder this year. But anyway, it looks like he's on his way also, in good shape.
He might be calling his insurance
company.
Coming out
now. Yeah, maybe calling his insurance company to say that it wasn't that bad, but it was filled, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah, let's try to go back down a little bit through here. I see, what is your good friend with Renski? He's coming down here in his lovely boat as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Kuluta. That's Martin Massenberg, where we just talked about him with the light blue boat. That's a great drone picture there. But Johan, I'm just leaving you for a second. We've got a drone photo here. Got an absolutely gorgeous picture taken just to the leeward side of the boats as they're heeling over. You viewers out there should really enjoy this. This is absolutely amazing cover footage.
Absolutely. Amazing background as well.
Thomas, look what's happening here. Some of the boats having to tack. Whereas, in fact, they want to go that way. They want to go just to the left of where they're going, so they have to tack. So there's definitely been a wind shift. I was assuming that the boats could just manage to have the necessary height to stay there.
There's definitely been a big right shift.
The island there is called Kidholm, and they're going to have to tack to get free of the reef there on the Tosing side, where it's very, very shallow. And once they're clear of that, then they'll start heading straight for the reef at Turku. At least there's a bit more space to tack there, isn't there, Thomas? Have you sailed in these waters?
I have many times, not in the Silverrudder, but many times in the classic Fyn Rundt, the Palby Fyn Cup, and I think I've sailed those maybe more than 25 times.
So you know exactly where you can go aground and where you did go aground.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's sailed around Fyn without, if they've got to be honest with themselves, has gone aground at least once or twice.
That's the definition of experience.
What, learning from others' mistakes, not your own. What you can see on the left-hand side of the picture, ladies and gentlemen, is Turku, the beautiful sailing club down there with the new houses that have just been built there. And the fleet close to land on the left-hand side. There's plenty of deep water on the left-hand side there. That's the place to be right now. If there's enough wind, that's the place to be, because if you're far enough to windward up there, there's a chance you'll be able to clear the reef on the opposite side without having to tack too many times. Those are absolutely amazing pictures, so great applause to the drone pilot out there taking those pictures. They're really, really outstanding footage. The yellow house in the background there, just out of curiosity, is the smokery. It used to be a fish smokery. Now it's privately owned house or apartments.
So beautiful. I admire it every time I go past it.
Yeah. So let's just look at some of those boats clearing out. I'd like to be able to see the drone moving slightly further away from us. There's the IMX 38 that we talked about before, and that's the big open class 40 there on the left-hand side. And look at the angle that it's having to tack. I mean, then they're not doing 90-degree angles. It looks like there's been a huge shift to the right, which has forced the boats onto a starboard tack. So they're going to be putting in a lot of distance compared to the smaller starts. Great footage, great films there. Yeah.
Still quite a bit of current, you see. But
yeah,
it should
definitely.
actually be slowing down now, shouldn't it?
I believe at about 1 o'clock, 1300.
forecast,
So we've got about another hour or so, which would be nice if everybody got the same fair flush washed out of the sound. That would be really nice, so they get an equally fair start. Because the boats that meet countercurrent in here and meet countercurrent in the Little Belt really at a disadvantage, aren't they? Can you see the XR41 race in this race next year, Thomas?
Oh yeah, definitely. It has to be there.
There might be 2 of them here.
So do I.
I definitely have a confirmed yes from one. If you get it built in time, we're all set, and it would be nice to see the second as well. I'm also excited to see who'll be racing the second one. Any ideas who might be the helmsman and the one that doesn't have Henrik Jørgensen on it?
I'm taking a wild guess and saying Anders Bastiansen.
Oh, hey, that's a pretty good guess. Just going back to Anders Bastiansen. Anders has worked for XYachts forever and ever, and he's the only person, as far as I know, that has completed the Silverrudder in all 7 classes. And this year he's racing a Dragonflyer 25, isn't he?
No, it's a DM24, I believe.
Oh, DM24. Yeah. I'm sorry. Bit of free advertisement there for Dragonfly boats. Yeah, well, good. I mean,
and he's been employed there as well, actually, for many years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he knows this course, and he knows the boats, and he knows every single crook and cranny of the course around Fyn. So not only has he raced it, he's also won on several occasions. He's an outstanding sailor and a very humble and nice guy.
Definitely, he's a very good friend of mine. We've been sailing together for 25 years at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And his brother's a serious sailor on in the fleet. You see him on his X35, don't you?
Yes, I'm crewing on that actually. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Were you on his X41 before that?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've also been sailing with Torsten for last 20 years. Yeah.
Amazing. The friends, the comradeships that exist and arise through sailing are absolutely amazing. If you don't kill each other on the first race, you end up sticking together for years.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking about Anders Bastiansen, actually in 2020 he bought my boat to do the small class. I have an X302, and he bought that one, and it was really light winter that year. I believe he was some almost 45 hours on the way.
And he's not the kind of guy that gives up, is he?
He didn't, and he also came in at a good place, fourth or fifth or something. Yeah.
He will do this year as well. Yeah. So looking at the drone picture there, look, you've got the boats just clearing the reef on the left-hand side, and that left-hand side you can see is the absolute last point of Turu before they continue their very close hold course protect to windward, and the wind will probably start backing a little bit to the left here. And then they'll have a nice tack on the starboard tack to a reef, and that's when they start getting slack on their sheets. And you should see some of these large boats.
Open 40 is looking forward to that.
Yeah. A lot of these boats, a lot of the boats with the big wide sterns and transoms, the racing boats.
Yeah, definitely.
But it would be nice to be from here to be able to see the boats like the Dela 30 ODs and the Beneteau First 27 Seascapes, that are doing. Probably by now they'll have set their masthead kites and will be roaring along.
Right,
the East Coast of Finland.
Really looking forward to stretching their legs, I believe.
As it says, yeah. Well, the next start that we've got is in 7 minutes' time, and there's not that much activity in front of the starting line. Now, this start will be starting in a few minutes. In just 7 minutes' time is the extra large with 27 boats. Now, what kind of boats are we going to expect to see here?
Yeah, we are seeing the XC47, for instance, and also a 4.9, X4.9. Also a hybrid boat, actually, also with a lot of battery capacity.
That's right. We were on board that last year with John's boat. Yeah. Another amazing boat. Have you? Did you have the opportunity to go to the harbour and see the boats in the harbour? There's something called a Pure 49, called Gore, which is an aluminium boat. You'll see it in a minute. It's got an orange doghouse. Okay. And it's extremely fast, I think. Has a retractable keel.
Okay, I thought in the FAR this morning at the harbour.
We were on board yesterday. It's very, very wide. It looks like it's an ocean racer. The keel can be retracted from 1.5 to 3.5 meters, 3.3 meters.
Wow.
A tiller instead of a helm, a wheel. So, and then you've got a couple of old classics like the 412s. How do you think they will be able to compete compared to, let's say, some of the newer boats like the XP44s?
Well, if they get a lot of beat, then they would probably do okay. But as soon as there will be some reaching courses, then they will be left behind, I believe, by the newer ones. It's from its time, it's a really beating machine, so to speak, really inspired by the old IOR boat.
So wide beam and narrow stern.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Why? Just for the sake of the listeners and the viewers here, what was the point of building such wide boats with a narrow stern and a wide beam? That means wide in the middle and narrow at the back.
Well, first of all, back then the IOR rule were governing, or was at its end when the X412 was designed, and it was just inspired by that, and that was what looked to be fast at the time, because that was what people were used to see at the racing courses, and they were rating really well on the IOR. Later on the IMS, they were penalized a bit more, and you began to see the sterns widening more and giving better dynamics downwind as well.
Weren't the old rules also based upon the fact that the wider the boat, the longer the waterline you'd get as the boat heeled, and that one thought was an advantage?
That's true, and also I'm not that familiar with the IOR rule, but there were some certain stations that needed to be measured, and so you wanted at a certain point near the stern, but not at the stern, to keep it quite wide.
Okay, let's go from what we've been looking at in the large start to what our final keel start, which we're filming at the moment, which is our extra large boats. Now these boats are 40 plus feet, so 40.01 feet.
Right now we're looking at the XC47.
And to the leeward of that, if you go slightly to the right, Mass, yeah. So we just zoom out a little bit. To the right there is the. You can talk about that, Thomas. This boat here.
Yeah, that's I believe the XP44 of Henrik Jørgensen.
And he better turn around quite fast before he goes aground. Very fast. I wonder if
he's familiar with the ground here, but he's quite close.
I wouldn't. He's got 2.5 minutes to start. I wouldn't go there. 2.5 minutes to start.
Quite close, yeah.
But let's talk about that boat and why we particularly like to talk about him today, bearing in mind that we'll be talking about the XR41.
Yeah, he's one of the first owners of the coming XR41. I believe he's getting hull number 4. Yeah.
And he's got to alter course very fast now. It looks like he is. He
really got to turn around now.
He went aground there. He just hit the ground.
He did? Yeah. Oh, too bad. He did.
He's got to take in his sheet to windward. He might be able to clear it. But how much does an XP44 weigh?
Oh, something like off the top of my head, almost 11 tons, I believe.
I'm getting 10, 11 tons, and that's not a boat you just pull off the ground on your own. So he's got to pull in his jib to windward, hoping that it keel over the boat a little bit.
And ease the main all that he can, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
Be able to turn it off the ground. Maybe he'll have luck to do that.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the drone picture. You can see the starting line here. There's just 1 minute and 20 seconds till the start goes, and other than Henrik there to windward, you've got an X442. You've got you've got the XC47 with Tornum Cornum on it right behind them. These boats that are coming close to shore are really, really, really pushing. They've got to keep away from this area altogether. There's just not enough water there. Yeah, okay, and then behind there you've got a First 40. You've got which is this the XC4? Is that an XT37 we can see there on the right-hand side? Looks like Henrik has just come free of the ground, I believe. If he can come free now in the next 40 seconds, he might have an amazing start. He just has to take in his if he takes in his starboard sheet now.
He is in free now. He is free.
Yoo-hoo! Wow, that would be amazing. Look at the boat behind that. She's just jibing. That's Martin Meredin in his beautiful Landmark 43. Martin won the single-handed Danish DH Championship this year. I think there were 9 or 11 boats that started, which was another one of Morten Brandt's innovative inventions, which is a really good idea. You've got 12 seconds to the start. I mean, Henrik Jørgensen, I'm not sure if he's sailing or he's just pushing mud. I think that if he takes home his jib, he'll probably be able to come free of the ground.
By the looks of him turning the wheels,
he's off now. He's free.
Aggressive.
I think he's just clearing. He's still in the mud, is he?
I think he is, but he must be clearing now.
Now
he is accelerating. I think he's clear now. Yeah.
He got an amazing start.
Good timing. Good timing.
Probably a little bit more dramatic than he wants to. He's gonna hate this film. He really is. Yeah, that's great. Let's go back to the zone. And
Torben Cornum is also getting a good start. Actually,
he's got an amazing start. A nice windward start. I mean, Torben Cornum isn't originally a racer sailor, is he? He's a windsurfer.
He's a windsurfer, but a very good one. So he has a really good sense of wind and where to go. Yeah.
And like you said, it's definitely a fast performance cruiser, because look at it. Even though it's a big, heavy, chunky boat, 47 feet, it's still keeping up nicely, and it's heeling over. There's definitely a feeling of a real sailing boat there.
It also has a considerable sail area, so it's still performing, although it's almost 15 tons of displacement. Yeah.
That's the boat I call the Pure Beer, the 49-foot boat with the big flag at the back. You see the aluminium boat with the hard chines on the windows and the sides. We haven't seen that boat here before. It's 49 feet and weighs about 13.5 tons.
13.
He can move 800 liters of water ballast from one side to the other in about 20 seconds.
That'll definitely
Another
come in
couple of
handy.
boats have run aground here. That's an
Oh, not too bad.
X43.
Yeah.
That X43 is sailed by Frederick, who I race on Martin's Landmark 43 with.
Ah,
That's Martin Meredin's old boat, in fact. Looks like he's freeing the shoal there nicely.
Hopefully he is, yeah.
Great pictures there from our rib. Look at that. That's amazing footage. That's the XP44.
Henrik Jørgensen, yeah.
Henrik Jørgensen, yeah. And the
Looking good.
yeah, that's the drone picture there at the front of the fleet. It's difficult to see who's actually right at the front there. That's Torben Kornum in his the XC47 with those quite peculiar or different window shapes, aren't they? Did you design those?
Yeah, not myself, but I was heading the design when they were designed, and it really fits in, we believe, well with the rest of the design. You will see resemblance of that shape virtually all over the boat.
Yeah, I can see that down below.
Yeah,
I can see that. It's a very,
Yeah.
it's very, what would you say, complete. You know, the whole boat's designed that way. It's nice. I think it's one of those things one has to get used to. Hey, lovely to see one of our female contestants of the that is crossing the starting line. She had troubles with her engine. We'll film her in just a second. And looking at the drone pictures there, it's a bit difficult for me to see who's right at the front of the fleet. That dark blue boat there, it's a bit difficult unless we zoom in a little bit. But there's a first 40 which is right up there with Søren Juhl on board, right at the front there. There's also the Polish first 40, which is just in our line of sight there. You can see Johan. If you're there, perhaps you'd like to drive to the front of the fleet. It's very difficult to see who's. Is that the first boat?
Yeah, that is the first boat at the moment, the XP44.
Talk to us about that's Richard Krohn. Richard has actually got two boats on the water. Or he did have Henrik Jørgensen's boat. The other XP44 used to be Richard's. Yeah, Richard's a good sailor. Do you know Richard, Thomas?
Yeah, I know him quite well from also when he had the new boat Frigate. That's also quite special. Special keel, and rudder, and special bowsprit.
And then carbon spars. Yes, I believe so.
I believe they are. Yeah.
Who else have you got around you?
So it was a really good start for the for Torben in the new XC49, but also it was a very fine start for Martin Meredin. He's just behind me here. If Petra just goes around, you're on the drone shot as well.
That's fine. It's okay. Need your camera. We need your microphone to be closer to your mouth.
Yeah, we're sailing quite fast now because it's quite windy here, so it's a little bit difficult to talk to.
Sure.
I hope you hear me fine. Yeah, we're in the front of the fleet, and it was a really clean and nice start. The Landmark got off fairly well, so did one of the larger Dynamics. The XP44 that we were just with, your good friend, got a very, very nice start as well. There's definitely the right shift that you also talked about. I think we're going to see these boats tack a lot down there, because I think we're going to have the right shift and the wind that you also talked about previously.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they need to tack down here when we cross around Ture.
Because what we can see from here, Johan, is that it looks like the wind has gone back to the left a bit, and they're definitely slacking out their sheets. They're beating at the start, but as soon as they clear, then they're just going like the rocket. And you said you're going quite fast now. Don't forget these boats are 40 foot plus. So some of these boats will be doing, 8 to 10, 11 knots as soon as they get some slack on their sheets.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're going really, really fast, and with the current with them, we also need to be very fast. We're just going to go down, and then we're going to have a look at the first 49 that you guys talked about previously. So
yes,
we're going to be with you in just a minute with some nice views.
Fantastic, thank you. We're just standing up here at the starting line still, and we can see a couple of the really, really big boats that have had a really tough start. We've got two big boats. We've got a big XP44 on the opposite side. I think it's an XP44. And then you've got start number 384. Unfortunately, went aground. That's Anders Nyberg and his RM1350, a huge, good-looking boat. He's managed to free himself from the ground now. And looking at the drone photos from here, we've got the boats definitely slacking their sheets off. What do you say, Thomas? They've got a bit of slack on them, bombing. How fast are those boats going, do you think, considering the fact that we've got 2 knots of current going with us?
Over ground, definitely 10 knots or something.
Incredible. And that's that boat, the Pure, as they call it, the 49-foot boat with the shiftable ballast. He's got like a handle in the middle of his cockpit that he can just rotate, and he drops down, the reverse baler that sucks the water in. And in 26 seconds, he can move 800 kilos of ballast from one side to the other. It'd be interesting to see how fast this boat is. It looks like a really fast ocean racer when you're on board it, with the doghouse or coach roof, and the bow is lifted out of the water when it's just laying in the harbour. But the Silverrudder is very much about. The Silverrudder is also very much about the man on the helm, and not just the boat. The interesting thing is the guy racing this boat actually built it himself. He owns the yard. So another one of the great Silverrudder stories. So this was the last of the keelboat starts with 93 extra large boats. I mean, to be able to gather 93 boats of this size between 40 feet and above that is quite exceptional. We don't see that many places in the world. Unfortunately, there's one of the very large boats.
Is it the 4.9?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's
John Howell?
Flukes. John and his X 4.9 has gone aground on the opposite side. John has got that beautiful grey boat, with the electrical engine. And unfortunately, I can see the area that it's gone aground, Thomas, is very, very shallow over there. It's really, really shallow, and a boat of that size, you're probably not going to be able to free there with that wind direction. Maybe, if he's lucky. But it's it's going to be, the wind is going to be pushing him further and further ashore over there, isn't it?
I'm not quite sure, actually.
Is he clearing it?
Yeah, he may be clearing it, but it will take some work.
I'm just looking through my binoculars here, and it is quite difficult to see, but it does look like he might be clearing the shoal at the ground. So the next two.
I would try to tighten that main. Sort of.
Yeah, bring the main home a bit.
Yeah.
To get the boat to heel over just a little bit.
To make it heel over, and also to for the bow to come up a bit.
Yeah. The boat's definitely turning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And he's slacking off in his sheets, unfurling a bit more of his jib. Looks like he's going to make it. I hope he does. He's a nice guy, lovely guy. So let's go back to your XR41, Thomas, whilst we've got a bit of time. Once in a while I interrupt you, and I'd like to talk about some of the great shots on the screen there.
That's the important stuff for today.
We've got an X442 there, and behind that we've got the Pure, the 49-foot aluminium boat. And let's just spend a second talking about the weather before we talk about the XR41 and 41, because can you imagine better sailing conditions on this?
Absolutely not. And hopefully it stays with that breeze. I think I saw from the forecast that it might be a bit soft and patchy when they come into the Great Belt.
Yeah, they have forecast a little bit less, or a lot less.
Yeah.
And in fact, they've had forecast areas of fog during the night, which could be very tricky for all of the boats.
Definitely. But I saw at the north of Fyn there is some pressure building, I believe. So yeah.
And the forecast looked better today than it did last night. So hopefully it's going to be one of the really, really comfortable Silverrudders, where you're not forced to hike for the entire race round. That's Henry Jørgensen, the XP44. We can see it looks like that aluminium boat's just overtaking him to leeward, doesn't it? I know the angles are difficult to see here. Let's just go to Johan. Johan, tell us what you can see. Let's see. Well, let's talk about the boat that we were on board. Look, he's put his cutter stake. You see that?
Yeah.
So he's got 2 head sails.
Yeah, that's definitely what has just happened. He overtook the big
definitely
what is it, 442?
making some
Yeah, so he went down and overtook the 2 boats. The thing is, he's gone quite a bit down to lee now. I don't know, it seems like the boats are able to hold it on the port side tack, but otherwise he's going to be in trouble and going to have to tack once we go closer to the wind around here now. So it's quite interesting to see if this tactic paid off for him, or if he's gonna have to tack.
Do you think that's why he's furled his outer head sail? I mean the Pure 49. You see that? I just noticed in the film.
Yeah, for sure.
What, to make his tacking easier?
Exactly, because he had it out all the way down through here, and it seemed like it worked for him in the beginning. was just luffing. Is it luffing in English? I don't know. It was not really catching.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but it started catching the wind, and he overtook the 442 and the XP44 to the leeward. We also have a guy going the other way here, Kiwi, just on vacation, a German guy.
He's just on holiday, is he?
So if up here to the see that they're actually able to stay on the port tack, so it seems like the wind has shifted back again. I don't know if you can see, but the fourth boat is to Tom. He's doing quite well, and in the front we still have the XP44, which is leading the race at the moment.
So that's Paul Stiansson, is it? In the
yeah, exactly, it is. Yeah, and then we have Martin Meerdien just
no, it's Richard Roth. So could you? Yeah, we need you to put your microphone closer to your mouth because we lose the sound quite a lot. So you've got Richard Groth in the lead, and then you have Martin Meerdien as number 2. Is that what you're saying? Top corner in the 4th place.
Yeah, that. No, not quite. There's one other boat up there. I can't quite see what it is, but there's one other boat up there. We also have the Luffa 40. Sorry, the Luffa 40 is going quite fine as well. I think it's the first time Silverrudder attendee, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Jakob from Aarhus, he's doing quite well as well. Right now he's being packed down a little bit by the first 40 as well, but he's gonna get free in a second. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. So we're here right now.
Jakob Lohenstein in Alba in the Luffa 40.
Yeah, it is exactly. Yeah, it is.
Okay, lovely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's very nice. But it seems like they're going to be able to hold it on one tack and get out of the sound without trouble. So that's really nice. One of the boats are cutting it a little bit close. You really have to stay on the right side. Watch out behind you. You really have to stay on the right side of this green buoy and keep that. Otherwise, you will run aground on this corner, especially in these large boats. So they need to respect that. It seems like they're doing it, so that's very good.
Great, thanks, Johanna. We've taken the camera back. No, that's you still filming. I'm sorry. I just looked like two boats are very similar. What's the boat that just passed you there? It just passed you to.
That's the X412 Wückenblume.
Yeah.
Don't know it, but it seems like we're back to champagne sailing again. We have a quite large Luffa. I think it's a Luffa 43 coming here with the black sails.
Yes, that's a Luffa 43.
Also looks very, very nice.
Beautiful. Oh, great shot.
Yeah, so that's actually most of the extra large boats passing here. We're going to go back to the starting line to be ready for the multi-hulls.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Johan. We should just go back to the starting line there. Thanks very much. Now, the next start that we're going to be seeing, experiencing this, well, I'd say it's afternoon now, isn't it? It's 12:15, are the multi-hulls. Just whilst we warm up to the multi-hull start, yeah, we'll just spend a couple of minutes, just finish off with Thomas talking about the XR41. Thomas, when can the general public expect to see an XR41 in the water for the very first time? In the water?
Christmas Eve, I believe.
Not under my Christmas tree.
That'll be just about the time, and we need to get it in the water before New Year's. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's great news. I'm looking forward to coming to visit you. Will it be in Hatherslew?
Yes, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite myself for a Christmas present. Thomas, thanks very much. Thanks very much for coming and visiting us. Thanks for your expert knowledge on the X's and all the other X's you've built, but especially the XR41. Thanks for coming all the way from southern Denmark to visit us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Are you ever going to race the Silverrudder?
Everybody tells me it's a big mistake that I didn't until now, and I believe they're right. So yes, I will be coming at a certain point, maybe even next year. Yeah.
That would be nice. Thanks a lot for coming, Thomas.
You're welcome.
Great to see you.
It was nice of you to have me here.
And thanks to X Yachts for sponsoring us and taking good care of us and sending you here. We appreciate that very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, about 40 minutes till the next start, which will be the small multi-hulls, and joining me will be Peter Quorting from Quorting Dragonfly. I look forward to his company in just about 10 minutes' time. Thank you.